Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by and welcome to today's Cloud Services webinar. Our topic for today is Digital Transformation, Third Platform, and Disruptive IT. What you need to know to be successful, transform, or die. That simple. Our expert speaker for today is Jared Powell, founder and CEO at Infinite Consulting. Jared is a result-driven and highly accomplished senior executive and IT leader with 19 years of experience in building and managing technology-based firms focused on cloud computing, hosting, managed services, and product development. A true IT innovator and an accomplished businessman, Jared is expert in all aspects of IT, strategic planning, project management, M&A, process optimization, compliance, and organizational development. He has a long track record of inventing, crafting, and delivering cutting-edge solutions designed to support organizations through rapid growth and expansion. All phone lines are in a listen-only mode today, and later there will be a question and answer session with instructions being given at that time. There will be no polls given today. You may also ask a question at any time using the chat window located in the control panel. Chat questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Today's session is being recorded, and you will be provided a copy of today's materials following the call. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Jared. Take it away.
All right, everyone. Thanks a lot, Lisa. I appreciate the introduction. Well, thank you all for joining the webinar, and hopefully I'm able to provide some good information today, and definitely put a lot of work into this. And predominantly, my focus was really just to share my experience in what Infinite has gone through, really, as we went through the same transition that I'm talking about. I think that's probably best, and that most of the stuff is real world examples of our adventure in this exact transformation from MSP to cloud service provider to now what I consider ourselves as a digital transformation engine. So. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the presentation. So as Lisa mentioned, today we're going to cover 4 key elements to success in the third platform and share relevant information about how to be successful with digital transformation, disruptive IT, and the third platform, as well as how they interrelate to each other and strategies across all 3, in that they're all a little bit different. So just a little bit about Infinite Consulting before we jump into the meat of the content. We are a cloud solution provider and a Tier 1 cloud champion. Over 2,000 organizations and 400,000 end users transitioned to Microsoft Cloud Services. I actually just ran that number. I think we're closer to 700,000 end users transitioned now. We focus on public, private, and hybrid cloud, and have our own cloud hyperconverged cloud solution called Infinite Cloud. We focus on cloud, and we have cloud and a VDI marketplace with over 800 apps accessible on demand that we can launch within 60 seconds or less. And one of our new focuses and kind of core to our business today is cloud applications and intellectual property, which we'll talk a lot about. And that solution focuses on data automation, business intelligence, and advanced analytics. We're a big Microsoft partner. As you can see, we've won Partner of the Year or Northwest Partner of the Year many times over the last 4 to 5 years. And we've been doing Microsoft Cloud Services since 2008, since it was the Business Productivity Online Suite. So a lot of expertise in that area. I guess going on 8 years now. It's amazing that much time has passed. And then as we've kind of branched out as well, we are now, I do believe heavily in the power of choice. And so we are actively engaged in other areas. We do a lot of work with IBM, AWS, and other cloud solutions and services as well. I think that in the third platform, making sure that you enable a power of choice and don't get too specific to certain vendors is probably key, because users definitely like that flexibility. So some key points that we're going to discuss today is we'll go over 4 key areas that successful solution providers are focusing on in the current era of the third platform, and find out why these should matter to you, and kind of deep dive into a little bit into what each one is and why it matters. We'll talk about why I view cloud migrations as a legacy business model. Really what is important to us at Infinite, and I think to a lot of the successful partners out there that I talk to, is that everything that happens after you migrate your customer to the cloud is what matters. That's how you really generate customer lifetime value. That's how you engage with your customers at a strategic level versus more of a support or commodity level. And to me, that's very important. And I know that for us personally, when we started putting in that, or approaching things with that mentality, we started having a lot of success. The impossible is now the exception, not the rule. Disruptive IT solutions really are here to stay, and it seems like every time we get a new engagement, it is stuff that used to be impossible, and now it really is the exception. And what our customers are looking for us to do is help transform their business and help them be more productive and more agile. And really, in order to do that, you just have to figure out how to develop those strategic solutions and strategies to face these challenging scenarios that you're presented with and win. And when we've been able to do that, just the relationship with the customers is so much better, and it's just a different relationship than historically our MSP type relationships were with our clients. And then finally, we're going to review how digital transformation is fueling the third platform, and talk about how fast the acceleration of the third platform is. It's actually starting to outpace even what projections were by IDC. They released they're releasing new projections every year, and we're continually outpacing that. And I believe that it's going to continue to accelerate, and it's why a lot of the theme of this presentation is going to be focused around urgency, and why you need to do this stuff now and start putting these strategies and stuff in place and really committing to this. Also with that growth, there's just amazing opportunity. Probably, I would say the biggest, quite possibly the biggest opportunity that certainly I've seen in my IT career thus far, and maybe the biggest opportunity I'll see the rest of my IT career, because it's just not very often that you see this type of disruption in a technology come. It's like once every 25 years, and so it's not that it hasn't happened before. It's just we're lucky enough to be living it now. So, and I put this quote in here just because I think that it speaks to kind of what our mission is really, and it's our task isn't to foresee the future. It's just to enable it and enable change in business. And some of what we're going to cover in this talks about how technology has really outpaced people's willingness to change. And the good news is with that is it creates this tremendous opportunity to go out and help customers see that and help them change and leverage this technology that's already there to do great things. I know that the IDC and Microsoft will state things like your buyer today will come to you educated and ready to purchase, and that's true in to a certain extent. But on the flip side of that, I think there's a lot of SMBs out there, a lot of CFOs that don't even understand, for instance, from an Office 365 perspective, how integrated that is or what that can actually do to their business. And so enabling that, enabling this future technology and getting them to embrace that change can really just do wonders for their business. And so, and we'll talk about strategies around how you can communicate that through marketing and things of that nature. Okay, so 4 key elements of focus. And these are definitely areas that really, if I think about Infinite's, entrance into, or when we really decided to change our strategy as a business. And like I said, we embraced the cloud very early, and I do think there's a difference between embracing the cloud and what we do today. And that initially when we embraced the cloud, it was part of our MSP packages, and it was still largely focused on supporting users, helping customers migrate to the cloud, and building our cloud practice in our business, but it wasn't necessarily around becoming what we are today. And if I think about what we are today, is we really changed our direction about 24 months ago, and decided that we were going to become a digital transformation engine for our customers and help them do things a better way, and really focus on business transformation versus technology transformation. While, like, you know, technology transformation has to be a component of it, that's the legacy part. And then the part that I think is going to pay long-term dividends, especially in the third platform as we accelerate over the next 3 to 5 years, will be that business transformation, digital transformation piece. You have to be able to do the technology transformation, but you need to find ways to automate that part as much as possible and really focus on the strategic aspects of things. And so in order to do that, the areas that we focused on, and you hear these echoed throughout the industry, but it's differentiate to stand out. If you look out there across the landscape, we're getting into that same scenario that we had when everybody, you know, suddenly jumped into the MSP game. And that makes it really hard to stand out. It makes it hard to differentiate from everybody else. And that was actually maybe the worst thing for the MSP industry that could have happened for a number of reasons. But, you know, the worst thing that it is suddenly it caused customers to start purchasing based only on price instead of on value. And so it drove down all of our margins, and there was a lot of subpar work out there. And so I think it's really important in the third platform that you figure out a way to differentiate yourself from the pack and stand out. And, you know, ways that you can do that is, you know, figure out unique technologies, processes, or IP, intellectual property, and figure out what you do best and just dominate that market. Sometimes I think that you have to do less to do more as well. So certainly, whether that's focusing on a vertical or some specific technology and just becoming the best that you can be there, whatever that is that makes you is kind of what I think you need to focus on to differentiate, and then start, you know, modifying your marketing and everything along those lines in order to do that. The other thing that we, you know, really had to do, and a lot of MSPs will have this down pretty well, but because the most successful MSPs were always great at operations, but operational excellence is absolutely key. Your most profitable partners out there excel at operations, and they just have to, and that's because you have to be able to scale in this type of a business model, and you have to be able to do more with less. And in order to do more with less, obviously you have to have repeatable methodologies, automation, best-in-class tools, and maybe, you know, even some of your own secret sauce in terms of tools and stuff that you might develop in order to help get that scale. That was, you know, that is key for us still. It's still an area I think that you can always improve at. You can always improve at all of these areas, but that's definitely a continual area of focus for us. And I kind of put that in the execution category, and we've went as far as to adopt methodologies such as the 4 disciplines of execution and things of that nature in order to help drive that operational excellence, and focus less on process and more on goal-based outcomes where the process is just kind of built in. And that might sound kind of weird, but that evolution really kind of has to happen. And when you see that change happen in your organization, you just have an engagement level inside your company that's just a different level than you've had before. And it's really, for us, once we kind of got that right, and it took a lot of practice, and we still have a long ways to go, but it made major impacts to every aspect of the business, from the amount of revenue that we were able to drive to our sales close rates to our profitability per customer. You know, a lot of this, in order to make more margin, you have to spend less time or get more scale, and so obviously that becomes very key. Generating customer lifetime value, you're going to hear that a lot. I mean, Microsoft preaches that, IDC preaches that. Generating customer lifetime value is critical for a number of reasons, and most of you probably know this by now, but there's a major land grab going on in industry, and you really have to get in on that. And right now, you know, a lot of my strategy is really evolving around customer acquisition and being able to get customers in as quickly as possible and kind of get my share of the land while the land's still available, and make sure that I put I get those customers into solutions and services such as our business transformation solutions or technology transformation solutions that include, a whole bunch of high value solutions along with, we usually try and combine that with our dimensions automation solutions. So we're doing some data components of that as well as managing their cloud, and really just giving them this complete solution so that they really have no reason to leave. And once you're managing all that for a client, unless you really make some critical error, the reality is they're going to be with you for a very, very long time, and you're really going to maximize your customer lifetime value, and be able to develop a great relationship with that client, as well as protect that client from the cannibalism that's going on in the market right now. And I think that's key as well, that you develop those solutions that make your customers want to stay with you and make your customers love you. And that's how we've managed to drive stickiness with our clients and help increase the customer lifetime value. And the second part of that is to continue to innovate and be able to do more for that customer over time. And the cloud really lends itself to that anyway, because it is changing so fast. If you're not constantly going back and marketing and educating and providing high value content to your clients, then you're really missing a massive revenue opportunity, and that a lot of growth should be coming from your internal client base that you've already migrated to the cloud. I mean, if you just took Office 365, for example, and nothing else, I mean, it's changed. They're coming out with something new, every 3 months. So those things that, we take those and analyze them. We figure out how they can fit and how we can position them for our clients. And then we make sure that our clients know, whether that's via a meeting or high value content we present to them. And inevitably, a lot of those end up in doing additional either services work or project work, or in additional agreement engagements with our clients, as well as obviously transacting more cloud, which transacting is never necessarily a focus of ours, but it just comes inherently with providing an overall business transformation solution. And so the good news is that we've seen customers that started out on a relatively small technology transformation contract that just kind of grew and grew over the last 2 years into now a very sizable contract, sometimes extremely sizable, as we've kind of managed that client and really presented to them what digital transformation and business transformation can do for their business. And so as long as you kind of guide them through that experience, the opportunity there is just absolutely massive. And then finally, probably, I know for us, it was maybe one of the most challenging aspects of all of the 4 key elements, but it was modernizing our sales and marketing approach. And, to be completely transparent, that is still a work in progress for us. And not that all of this isn't, to an extent, but this in particular is something that was hard for us to do well. That might not be what your experience will be, but part of that is maybe because I'm an engineer at heart. I'm a very technical CEO, and I didn't come with a sales, type of a sales background like a lot of CEOs do. That said, I've went out and hired the best people that I could find in those areas in order to help address those issues. And the reality is the landscape is just very competitive. And so if you look at how a lot of these relate and then differentiate to stand out is big there. And how do you leverage your marketing and your sales approach in order to achieve that differentiation that you're looking for? And that's been been a challenge, but it's doable. And I will say that for me, it's been one of the more, I guess, fun journeys that we've been on, because you see, when you start getting it right, you kind of see these immediate results, and you can see the needle moving, in real time, from sometimes from week to week, but certainly from month to month or quarter to quarter, as you kind of start dialing in some of your marketing approach and some of your sales approach. And we're also using some really unique modernized sales approaches that some of that I won't even go into, because I think that it's so evolutionary that maybe I'll talk about it next year after other people are doing it. But there's a lot of opportunity if you really think about it in terms of partner-to-partner type stuff and things like that you should probably be thinking about in order to gain scale and just become a more ubiquitous solution for your clients. So why do these the 4 keys matter? And we'll kind of deep dive into each one of these. Not deep dive, but we'll talk a little bit about each one of these sections. But for me, the most critical part of all of this is becoming a strategic asset to your customer's business. That is just absolutely critical, because if your customers don't view you as a strategic asset to the business, then you're commodity. You're a janitor, or you're the cleaning people, right? And I largely started to view my MSP practice as that. I think at some point, as I went through that, this evolution, when I look back and I think, okay, my discussions around offering like an MSP contract that's you're going to support end users and do patch management and blah blah blah. I don't think it really presented that much value, especially to business owners, right? They just looked at it as commodity. And the problem with that is that you can do a great job for 10 years, but the second that you forget to empty a garbage can or whatever, there's just a little mistake, suddenly you're not, suddenly that relationship isn't as good as it was, just kind of overnight. And that is not how it works when you're viewed as a strategic asset. And I guess I kind of knew that because I came up through consulting in the enterprise. I worked at Microsoft, and for a good chunk of my career, about the first 10 years in the Silicon Valley, I focused on merger and acquisition integrations of financial systems and IT systems, and that's just a different world, and you're working with a different type of person at the company, typically going to be a CFO or some sort of C-level, and the relationships were just different, and really I liked them quite a bit better. Versus interest in MSP was a little bit of a shock for me, in that it's not that same type of relationship, and I never really liked that specifically about the MSP business. And so when the cloud really presented itself, I still remember very distinctly getting a call from Microsoft when they were telling me that, hey, we have this solution. It's $10 a month at the time for a 25 gig mailbox in the cloud called VPOS, and I was doing Exchange hosting, and over the next 2 weeks, I migrated all of my Exchange hosting customers over to that, and just kind of dove in with both feet, 150% commitment, and we've never really looked back since then. And when I think about it now, I think that resonated because I saw a way that I could still deliver these commodity services that you have to, but become that strategic asset to my customers that I think that they're looking for, that they're much more happy to pay for than they were. Let's face it, no customer really likes paying for a commodity service. They don't. That's why in the MSP market, especially over the last 3 to 5 years, it became largely just price driven, and that's not the conversation I want to have with my clients. Obviously, you have to offer a good value for what your services are, but if that decision is solely based on price, then that's not an ideal scenario to be in. So move from purchase on price to purchase on value. So I kind of covered that a little bit, but the mass expansion of subpar MSPs quickly caused that negative view of outsourced IT that I think that stigma is still sticking around, and it's slowly changing now because I think partners have gotten more strategic. I know that our conversations have improved, but at the same time, we stopped even calling ourselves an MSP. While we still offer MSP type services, they're a different type of strategic service than I think by and large, it's a re-education going on, whereas I think a lot of customers view MSP as you're going to, IT support my end users, patch my workstations and security and all that, versus I look at what our MSP service today is, and it's really giving you a strategic vision for your business, aligning you with the third platform, transforming your technology in order to leverage the third platform, and then moving on to a business transformation solution on, you got all this data, how do we analyze that more effectively? How do we make you more agile? How do we drive productivity throughout your organization? Those sort of things. And there's just I don't know, it's a great feeling when you watch what that can do for a company, and how rapidly you can do it. And so for me, I was definitely more than happy to move from purchasing on price to purchasing on value. Our revenues are better. I think it's a more amicable relationship with our clients, and it's just been a great move for us overall. So industry is tired of traditional IT approach. I hear that every day. As we kind of went through this transformation, our typical point of contact in our customers is going to be a CFO or a COO or something along those lines, or the business owner. And I hear the same thing all the time, and I have a whole slide on this, but they were just tired of traditional IT. I think that somewhere along the line, IT forgot that they were a services-based organization and that they were there to serve the organization, not tell them what to do or put up roadblocks. And quite frankly, I think your executive teams and really everybody in the entire organization got absolutely tired of it. I know me as a service provider got tired of it. I hated it when I had to work with IT because it just seemed like the answer was always no, or you can't do that, or what about solution over here, or just stuff that, if you're thinking from a business mindset, I guess, is going to irritate you. And so, and I know I think all of you would have to agree with that, in that if the reason that a lot of the reason why the cloud exploded was because of those roadblocks that your traditional IT put up, all of these individual departments started going out and consuming cloud services on their own. I can't tell you how many companies I've been in where we were the IT department for just finance. Well, why is that? Well, because traditional IT was no longer servicing finance the way that finance wanted to be serviced. Usually that revolved around not getting them data that they wanted, or just how long it took to do stuff, and things of that nature. And so what happened is each of these departments went out and found their own solutions to things. And look at the companies that reap the benefits of that. I'm sure Salesforce was pretty happy about that. They're largely one of the first that benefited from kind of those roadblocks in a traditional IT approach, causing business leaders and visionaries to go out and find a better way of doing things. So today, for us, users want total freedom, and they want it on their terms. I think that anything short of anywhere, anytime, any device, and I would go as far as to say soon any platform, is just not good enough. They want easy access to their apps. They want easy access to their data, and it needs to be simple, secure, and that's that. If you're not able to support that vision, I think that you're really kind of missing the mark in what really the third platform and digital transformation and business transformation is all about. That is why these are disruptive IT solutions, is they change the way that people are used to working. It's a new way of doing things. And later, there's a slide, talking about going from horses to cars, and it's very similar to that. In that's what a disruptive IT solution is. It's really a new way of doing things that it might take some education and talking to the right person or organization in order to get them to understand. But I think that if you're not offering that total freedom type of a solution, you're going to watch your competition do so, and then you're going to watch them as they go past you. So, and then finally, and this is really key, and this is actually maybe one of the aspects of this whole thing that maybe scare a lot of us. Certainly, it's something I pay very close attention to. Obviously even now, and I think it is something that why I think there's such an urgency, and why you hear me talk with urgency around how critical it is to get this transformation going. And it's the business model line, the business model and lines that separate all of us partners are really blurry. Most partners now will fall into several categories, not just one. They're MSP, they're a cloud solution provider, they're a reseller, and doing intellectual property, and sometimes telecom, right? And then there's the animal that is telecom that's kind of looming over all of us, and everybody's kind of going, what are they going to do? They're well positioned to do this sort of thing themselves with their 500 agents sitting in there. And so, and that's why it's really key to jump on those 4 points of success and really focus on them and carve out your area and stake your claim, so to speak. And I think as long as you're able to do that, you definitely have a massive opportunity to capitalize and build an excellent business and have a lot of fun over the next 5 years. I know I look forward to kind of seeing what happens, but I think that you'll see a lot of MSPs start to consolidate into one another, or a lot of mergers and things of that nature. And then, you know, obviously, I think you're going to see a lot of telecoms start, and they already are already purchasing, you know, either MSPs or IT services firms like wildfire that have kind of that something special in the cloud, or some special niche that they're able to service. And so it's definitely crazy times, but that one's definitely interesting because I know that I have competitors today here in the Bay Area, one of our offices, and we're also in Buffalo and Utah, and soon Charlotte. But you know, I've definitely noticed that the partners that I am competing with on a regular basis now could be anyone. It used to be I knew my competition really well; they were pretty standard here, and now you know, it could really be any type of partner that's out there doing that, whether they partnered with somebody else to do it, or they just kind of moved into that space. So the third platform growth has definitely scaled and grown a lot faster than we've anticipated. I mean, 80% of businesses are deploying or fully embracing the cloud today, and that's a statistic that I got from the IDC, and there's more of a deep dive on that in the next slide. But the IDC forecasts that public IT cloud services will reach 141.2 billion USD by 2019. That's a 19.4% CAGR, 6 times the rate of the overall IT spend. I mean, that's just a massive opportunity, but that shows you the acceleration there. That I don't, you know, it's really within, I think, the last 6 to 10 months that this stuff really started to lock into businesses, and you just saw things just accelerate like crazy. Businesses that never really approached us or talked to us about cloud before are coming to us wanting cloud solutions, and they're coming. Some of them coming knowing what they want, just depending on kind of where they're at in that process. And then a very interesting stat here, and why it is so urgent that you get in. I think most of us are probably in the cloud. If you're not thinking about the cloud yet, that's I guess a different problem. But even if you've only been in it for a little while, I think it's just 100% commitment is critical. And if nothing else, because partners with 3 years cloud experience or more have grown at 1.8 times the rate of those that have been involved in the cloud for less than 3 years. And I do think it's fast to ramp up on, but that initial, it's kind of like I equate it to learning to like snowboard or something like that, and that the learning curve and kind of getting that part, kind of learning to carve or whatever, is really difficult, and it's not that fast, because it is, regardless of what, you know, most service providers will say, or people are out there doing cloud services, they might think this is a very easy transition. The reality is it's not. I can tell you 100% over the last 5 years, there were many times I about flat went out of business committing to this strategy, because it is an evolution, and it is a big change, and it is disruptive, and it is not easy. Not to do it to the level that I guess we've done it, but when I say, you know, we committed, it was flat out, you know, we're going to go from this to this, and this old legacy business, even if you have to let it go, we're going to, because the only way we have long-term viability and we can be the successful company that I envision and want for us to be, is to commit to this. And we were really willing to risk it all to do that. And I think the partners that are successful out there approached it with the same mindset. But at the end of the day, it is a wild change. It's a lot different. You're going to need different people probably than you have today for some of that. And well, let's face it, the IT person of tomorrow is not the IT person that you see today in many cases. They're much more application centric. I mean, as stuff continues to commoditize, and there's not going to be a whole lot of computers to fix or even servers to build with the cloud. It's going to be very application centric, and that's why you look at you know, all this talk on the chief information officer becoming the chief intelligence officer or a chief data officer, and that's happening right now today. So I don't think that the people that think it's not, if they just go look at the industry, the reality is it is happening. So this slide gets a lot of traction. Some partners don't like this. For me, and this is just in my experience, so everything here is really, I think there's partners out there that have this ability to scale that are larger than us, that maybe just cloud migrations and that sort of thing is going to be okay for them. But for us, we're about 20 people total, and for us, cloud migration is a legacy business, and it's not necessarily the space that I want to be known at. I want to be good at it, and I have to be able to do that for my customers, but it's not what we're going to be known for. It's just an automatic for me. So in my opinion, a cloud migration is just something that it's like being able to fix an email problem. You shouldn't be playing in cloud land if you don't know how to do cloud migrations yet. And for us, it's legacy because I spend right now probably a good chunk of my time just figuring out how we can automate and streamline the process of migrating people to the cloud. And I consider that a technology transformation approach, in that if I have a customer and they're largely legacy, or maybe they have their email in the cloud, which a lot of them might have something like that, but then they have all this on-prem stuff and they got this nightmare of an ERP situation, and who knows what they're doing with CRM, and maybe they're using a combination of internal file sharing, and some users on Dropbox and some on Box and some on Google, whatever the case may be. The reality is, how do I automate this process to get them into a standardized platform and into a decent, well thought out and strategic cloud solution as quickly and efficiently as possible with as few people as possible, and still make that seamless. And we're working feverishly on that today with applications that we're developing and techniques and partnerships that we're developing in order to really, I think in a year, we can have that almost 100% automated, so we can take a customer to the cloud all up and standardize within weeks. And we've already done that in several cases. Some of the case studies we'll have coming out this year, and a lot of why we've gotten so much attention this year is some of the work that we've done with some fairly high-profile clients in taking them from these horrible legacy situations to all-up agile cloud-enabled businesses in very short periods of time. We're talking virtually no cloud to full cloud in a month to 6 weeks, to full business transformation with our tools they're running, like our dimensions automation tools and things of that nature. And so that's really exciting, but that's why I view cloud as largely a legacy business model. Not a business model, but a legacy business, and that is something you have to do. But that's where you need those additional services to come back and drive that customer lifetime value. So, and there's just a breakdown. I won't go over that, but there's a breakdown of kind of what companies are doing today in terms of the cloud. And I think that as you can see, everybody's pretty much at least evaluating, if not deploying or fully embracing. And the 60% down there embracing the cloud, that's a pretty big stat, if you ask me. So, and it's part of why we've seen such an amazing acceleration this last year. So cloud is the norm. So what's next? And that's kind of what our customers started asking us. Okay, great. So we're on Office 365, or we're in Azure now. So now what? Like, what's the big deal? Type of thing. And that's exactly right. What is the big deal? That's why you have to move from support. In the middle here, where this arrow is that's your cloud migration. That's your legacy cloud migration. So transform the technology. We all have to do that. I think you have to come up with ways to do that quickly, easily, and efficiently. That'll help. Obviously, it'll also help drive up your profit margins, and that's where there's also a huge opportunity to partner. Actually, across all these, there's major opportunities to partner. But whatever you can do to gain scale in the middle part, I think you should, because ultimately where you want to be at is down here in the vision, strategy, and innovation sector, and in digital transformation. And that's when I think that your world really starts to change, your client's world starts to change, and the light bulbs start going on once you're able to do that a few times and you see what that potential is. I mean, I have clients that in the old days, in the old days, 2 years ago, they would maybe be on an MSP contract, maybe they're going to be, $5,000 or $6,000 a month. That in digital transformation world, they're going to be closer to $30,000 a month and happier. And you know, that makes me happy because our relationships are better, and it's kind of interesting. They're happy to pay that money because the value that they're getting is so much greater than it was before in terms of their just agility and productivity, and we're talking they might be paying 30, but we might have saved them, you know, 600,000 a year just off a couple of our solutions that we put in that laid this, you know, optimization and data automation type of stuff on them that literally just saves them thousands and thousands of hours a year, or it saves them time on audit or what have you. And so, that's our approach. That's where kind of we've started to focus is a lot on the data side of things. But there's opportunities all over the place there to do that same sort of thing. And like I said, they're much more happy to pay for that than they were, you know, paying you to support their end users or their PCs. It's just that doesn't really affect their bottom line as much. Yeah, it helps them get a little bit more agile and fix their ITs. You know, it does some things. I'm not necessarily undervaluing that, but it does. It's not the same thing as going in and transforming their business and becoming that, you know, that really strategic driver of technology at their company and kind of the company they turn to when they have this technology problem that they need to solve. That if they do, then they can, you know, do the next big thing for their business. And that's just a great place to be. And it's a great, it's been great for all of us, you know, for the employees, and then just the feedback we've gotten from clients has been tremendous. So I'm getting a little long-winded here. Sorry, I'm getting scoot along. So this is just a quick slide. So technology is accelerating faster than adoption. I already talked about that, but just some interesting stats that I pulled for some IDC studies. You know, 50% of cloud apps will never see a client server era. By 2020, the amount of high-value data will be doubled, and that's why we focus on data. I personally believe that data is excuse me, is really what's driving the third platform in general. Is businesses, you know, figured out, wow, our data is really important, and maybe we should figure out how to get to it. And hence the cloud explosion. We all know that mobile's going fast, and that social's a big market as well. So as I said, impossible is now the exception. Disruptive IT is here to stay, and I guess my biggest suggestion on this slide is really to embrace that and figure out how to leverage it and just run with it. And I feel like that we've really done a great job at embracing disruptive IT services. In fact, we coin ourselves the kings of disruptive IT, and I think that most of our customers would 100% agree with that, and disruptive in a good way. And again, some more stats. I don't want to focus too much on that, but really maybe the key stat is in 2007, per the IDC, really we entered the beginning of all this of hyper disruption, and that's essentially a once every 25-year tech shift. And I think that we could, you know, all say that we probably noticed that and experienced that, and it's been kind of a wild ride over the last little while. And you know, I talk about 5 years a lot. I think the next 5 years are going to be the fastest acceleration, and then you'll start seeing a bit of a mellowing as some of these new technologies that just came out evolve and things kind of settle for a while. So, but just the other stats is real quick. I think they just point out the fact that really everybody's going to be impacted significantly by the third platform and disruptive services, and it's, you know, it's the reason why we're presenting this, you know, this presentation and kind of how we've embraced this and approached it, because I think if you do it right, it'll pay massive dividends. Just to go over some of the things that I think that the old school IT support mentality and flat out what businesses didn't like about it. And it's funny now that we're on to this business transformation side, my customers open up to this a lot more than they used to when I think I was probably in a lot of these categories when we were providing IT support. But and I've always kind of felt that internal IT is much bigger roadblocks, obviously, than your external MSP or consulting services type of organizations, right? But But bottom line, if you look at the old way of doing things, it's just too strict. It's too hard to connect with. Support systems are old. They're not flexible. Support staff are unresponsive, aloof or arrogant. I know we always see that. I remember coming up in IT before I was really an IT guy, being scared of the network admins and IT admins back at Novell, and so like literally scared to ask them a question because I was going to be made to feel like an idiot. And unfortunately, IT didn't really get rid of that problem over the years. Not everybody was like that, but a lot of people were. So and then support staff are incompetent. That's, I think, less of a problem. The reason why this slide I think is important is it speaks to more of the process and unwillingness to change how we did things in IT, and that's where a lot of these things, that all the biggest problems were. And this just speaks to the fact that a change was absolutely needed in how we did things and how we approached things, and the way we were doing them was it was industrial age, and it just needed to evolve. And now's the time, and now it will evolve. And if we don't evolve it, then like I said, your competition will. So finally, businesses I think are ready to adapt, and things are primed to go out and make a bunch of money and have some fun and really make some impacts in the third platform. And one of the things is that this slide, I guess, talks to is people's unwillingness to change, or how hard they'll hold on to the old. And there's just a story of Henry Ford going to the Bank of Michigan and wanting to borrow some money to build his new factory, and it was flat turned down because he felt like the president of the bank felt like the horse was here to stay and the automobile was a novelty or a fad. And I do think that largely, oftentimes that is kind of the view of some of this, which is flabbergasting to me, but that really has changed over the last year, and I think businesses are ready to fully embrace the cloud, and they want to know what it can do to make them more agile, more productive, more profitable. Disruptive IT is here to stay, and I present this slide to just show some of the stuff that Infinite has done in order to differentiate ourselves. You got to go, take these complex cloud migrations and make them commodity. Figure out how to automate all that. It needs to be all about really business transformation, in my opinion. Let's get them on the cloud and then figure out how you can make their business better. If you can do that, that's the best spot you could possibly be in. I think, I say data. There's just such a massive opportunity in data, and if you go read the studies out there and what the potential of that market share could be just in data alone, it's just absolutely massive. So for those of you that do have data skills, congratulations. I think you should start looking at how you can commoditize those and build some products and some IP and get out there and sell the market, because it is ready. Look at the success that a lot of these data companies out there are having that aren't even good at what they do, a lot of them, to be honest. And so massive opportunity. And then of course, some of the big things coming up is next gen security, where supposedly we won't need passwords anymore because we'll be able to predict buying behavior with analytics. So it should reduce password necessity by 50%. It seems like everybody has some sort of a business model plus VR type of strategy, and of course IoT and those things are going to be big. So how do you compete and win? That is the $1 million question. I don't think that I necessarily have the exact solution to that, but what I'm sharing with you, like I said, this is a real world experience and things that I've done at Infinite and we've done as a company that we have seen a lot of success in. And it was a rough, 24 months really kind of when we engaged this model and really committed to it. And definitely some scary times, but what I can say today is it has definitely started paying dividends. The last, 10 months have been by far the biggest 10 months that we've ever had since we were founded, and we were founded in 2006, so about 10 years. Every quarter is our biggest quarter we've ever had. We just had the biggest quarter we ever had in Q1 this year. We're already teed up to have the biggest quarter we've ever had again in Q2, and I think that we'll probably see that trend continue, and I know we will, because just the stuff that we put in place, it just seems like it started to click, and it is accelerating, and it's a good feeling. It's been a lot of work, and it's not to say that we're still a small business. So I like to say, you're always 3 months from going out of business as a small business, so you have to be careful. But we're definitely cautiously optimistic about the direction we're going, and we really think that we're destined for some big things based on the strategies that we put in place. And so transformation needs to be in your lifeblood. Transform or die. It's that simple. And people maybe think I'm crazy or that's a mean thing to say, but the reality is if you stand flat-footed and you don't start figuring out ways to differentiate and change and transform your business and stand out, that's going to be a true statement. And that really is not coming from me. I mean, if you look at what the IDC says and Microsoft and Google and just all of these studies, I mean, the writing's just on the wall that this stuff's going to commoditize, and there will be those businesses that stay tied to this old business model that they can become the person that's that still putting horseshoes on horses, and they might be wildly successful. There's just not going to be very many of them, right? And so the majority of us are going to need to change. Embrace the third platform, and the opportunity is just absolutely massive. And how do you do all that? So for me, it's really 100% commitment is the only way, and that's the only way we could do it. Is we said we're going to live this, breathe this, and really live or die by this decision, and be prepared to do that. So if this puts us out of business, and so be it. We were going to go out of business anyway, but this is our best shot at being relevant and growing the way that we want to grow and achieving what I really felt our true potential was. And while that I think was a little bit scary, I can't tell you how rewarding at the same time it was, and how exciting it was, and how, I mean, for me personally, I've never been this charged up about work before in my life than when we made that decision. It was like a breath of fresh air, yeah, it's just super exciting, and I've loved every second of the last 2-3 years. And so some of the things we did is, immerse your business in the cloud and sell cloud services and solutions ASAP if you're not already. If you are, do more of it. Create a business plan. I do have a good template for that Microsoft has as part of the partner program. I'm happy to share that with the Bavy team or send that out. Maybe I can send that to Lisa, and she can send it to the group individually for those that want it or whatever. It's just a template, but it's a good guide for how you might develop something like that. But definitely critical you leave a mobile first, cloud first, message. You got to aggressively ramp up your cloud efforts, and if you have to, get financing. There's a way to do debt financing that makes it pretty painless, but it's all about rapid customer acquisition right now. Go head to head with the successful partners. Find out what the best ones are out there doing, and create a plan to go and compete with them. It will make you better, and it will elevate you. And that's a lot of the strategy that we did. Who's doing stuff the best, and we want to be the best, and so we're going to do better than they're going to do. There's nothing like a little bit of competition to get you pumped up, right? And then once you get some success, double down. I went to the extent I didn't even pay myself for 6 months because I used my salary to double down and to just reinvest it back into marketing and reinvest it back in our own product development. That might be a little crazy, but the payoff at the end is going to be massive. So, and then finally, my advice and perspective. Like I said, it's more like 150% commitment. You must align your people resources. I had to make some changes to my people. I did, and it's critical you get great people, not good people. If you don't know what that means, read the book Good to Great. It was eye-opening for me. Probably the most important thing you can do for your company. IP is kind of a must in your roadmap, whether that's process or software or whatever. I think that that is the future. Execution is everything, and so you need to execute on your plan and hold yourself accountable. I recommend the 4 disciplines of execution or something similar. Learn how to partner. That can save your life and really help you be successful. I give a whole separate presentation on that, and I could talk for just hours on partnering, but if you want to know more about what that means, feel free to reach out. I have my email up here. Reward your great people, not your good people, your great people. Make sure that you highlight those that are doing what you want them to do and that are showing you that behavior. I think that is absolutely critical. Marketing, probably the biggest person in your organization for the next 3 or 4 years is going to be your marketing person. So if you're going to spend some money, drop a whole bunch on that, because I mean that's a make you or break you person, to be quite honest. And I think that my company could get rid of me before they could get rid of my marketing person and survive a lot easier without me than without marketing. So, and then finally, get your grown-up pants on. It's not easy. At least it wasn't for us, and you definitely, be committed and be ready for some challenges. But overall, it's fun challenges and worthwhile. And
okay. Thank you very, very much. Oh, is that the end of it, or did you have one more for us?
No, that's the end of it. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I didn't mean to talk so long, so I'll leave you 5 minutes.
No, you're fine. Okay, well, that was very, very insightful. We did have a couple of questions come in during the presentation, and it is still open now. So if you do have any other questions, please feel free to write them in. You can do that in the control panel there. You can also use the chat window in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. First question came in earlier on. This is from John. He asks, how did you design your infrastructure to host client servers, including data and apps, and how do you price?
Well, pricing is an hour-long discussion, so I don't know that I can necessarily get into that, but there are a lot of really good resources if you search for the pricing. But largely that's controlled by the industry and then also by the value you add. And so I try to kind of take the value that my solutions adds along with what's going on in the industry and then come up with some happy medium. And then how I design my infrastructure, it was pretty simple. So a lot of what we do is in the public cloud. So we heavily leverage Azure and Bluemix and AWS. And then we also, we've always had our hand in hosting. And so very early on, we built a little mini private cloud, and then about 2 years ago, we re-architected it, and now we have a full hyper-converged cloud that is fully integrated up to Azure, and runs. Actually, today we're running Azure Stack on it in preview, but it was running Azure Pack before that, and that's kind of the design of how that's set up. And then we've also templated that out so we can mimic that on any customer sites or in any data center in the world in order to enable power of choice.
Okay, great. And we do have one more question that did come in. This is from Jonah, and he asks, what things have you done to ramp up cloud efforts in terms of marketing? And what areas of marketing would you focus on first? You had mentioned that it was so very important, even more important than your role at times.
Yeah. So number one, you got to get digital marketing going. And so if you don't have the budget to go out and hire a high-end marketing person, you need at least one. So whatever you do, I would say bring marketing in-house, at least one that can be a leader for you. And then what I did, because I am smaller as well, is I engaged a company called Plan 27, who has been great. And they're, if you look at HubSpot or Infusionsoft and a lot of those marketing automation solutions, they are that, but they manage it too. So they're like a managed version of that marketing automation and digital marketing. And so I think that's worked really well for us. And then as we've started to ramp, we started doing a lot of pay-per-click stuff, and then we've hired a whole other company to manage just our social aspect of things, because it's all about content. High-value blog content, especially, will go a million miles for you. So.
Absolutely, I definitely agree with that. Well, I think the key point that we can take away today is one thing is without change there can be no progress. That you've got to change and keep it going, or else you're gonna be standing back there, waving everybody on. So, all right, we don't have any other questions. So I would like to thank Jared for offering your time and sharing all of your great knowledge with us. And thank you to all of the attendees that took time out of their busy schedules today to join us. Please do take a few moments to fill out your post-event survey. Your input is very important to us. This does conclude today's conference, and you may now disconnect. Thank you again, Jared.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Bye.